Hey guys, what's going on? Manga reads, and it's One Piece that we're talking about today. And this is something that's been on my mind for a while, and I'm just going to discuss it. I haven't had anything planned out. I'm just talking from the top of my head, so I might lack as a structure and direction, but the general idea will still be there. Now, the main question I'm thinking about here today is, will there be another time skip in One Piece? And I'm gonna be honest with you guys right off the bat, from like the very first minute, I don't know. I have arguments that both support this claim and also go against it, disprove it. So I'm just going to talk about some of these things that are on my mind to support and disprove it, and then at the end of the video I will give my final thought on what I think, and you can have your thoughts as well down in the comment section. As usual, I won't try to disprove your idea, and I won't try to say that you're wrong, whatever it is that you think. Now, let's first look at why the first time skip came about. Now, the first time skip came about when after we left Thriller Bark, right? Let's focus at Thriller Bark. When we're at Thriller Bark, Usopp himself said, you know what, if we're gonna keep fighting strong opponents like this, then we're gonna need to step up our game, because Luffy is under too much pressure as our captain to protect us. We need to be stronger. And we realized how badly injured Zoro was from that fight after trying to defend Luffy, trying to protect his captain Luffy. After fighting us for so long, guys, I'm telling you, that fight versus us, Zoro went hard. And he got some really big hits and he kept standing up. So he suffered a lot of damage, and then taking in all the damage that Luffy left for him. Well, not for him, but all the damage that Luffy took. He took in all of that afterwards. Zoro was really hurt. Like, Zoro had a world of hurt on him. And then we went to Sabode. Master Kizaru, Lord Kizaru himself, the troll of the Navy himself, showed up. And everything went to shit with Sentomaru, because Zoro almost died, guys, and he couldn't fight 100% because of the injuries he suffered back on Thriller Bark. So you know what, guys, that's one of the things that attributed to the 2-year time skip. That's the main thing. And the second thing was Ace dying. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed by One Piece. Not annoyed by One Piece, but I'm a little bit annoyed by Luffy. He was there when Ace died, and he saw how easily Akainu got to Ace with his words about Whitebeard and stuff like that. And he made the same thing happen with him and Big Mom. And had it not been for Sanji, had it not been for that Tamate Bako box exploding quite conveniently, had it not been for Caesar, he would have been fucking killed, guys. That's me. He would have been killed if it wasn't for those events, because he had the same idea in his head that, you know what, don't talk down on me, let me get at least one punch. That's the same thing that Ace did and lost his life. Would have happened to him. And I think that after the 2-year time skip, he matured a little bit, but I was disappointed in that. So let's talk about whether or not there's going to be another time skip. We're going off the premise of what influenced the first time skip. But before I continue, there is something I should point out. Let us suppose, for argument's sake, that the time skip never happened. I think that had the time skip not happened and they had went to the Fishman Island, or gone to the Fishman Island for better grammar, then they would have been defeated by Oda's pirate crew, because Oda had a hurt on him. Oda had some issue with him, and from the time he took down Arlong, Oda would have had that score to settle with him. So it wouldn't matter when he went to the Fishman Island. The moment he got there, Oda would be after him. And given that Oda would have had the drugs, the steroids, it's fair to say that he would have lost. He might have even been killed if he had went to Fishman Island, because, guys, the difference in strength between 2-year time skip and when everything happened with him and Oda was really something to behold, and I don't think that even the entire crew would have been able to fight Oda and beat him. So Oda would have killed him. So they needed a 2-year time skip. So now let's look at where we're at now. Where we're at now is Manga chapter 872. We're escaping from Whole Cake Island. And the question looms on me, is there going to be a 2-year time skip? Or is there going to be a time skip in general? Now, the reason why there might be a time skip is that Luffy is not strong enough to take down a Yonko. That's one reason. But the reason why there might not be a time skip is that Luffy is not going to take down a Yonko by himself. The reason that there is going to be a time skip is that come the end of the story, Luffy is going to be the strongest character, strongest person in One Piece world. The reason why there's not going to be a time skip is that come the end of the story, Luffy would have been Pirate King not by his own strength but by the strength of his nakama, his allies, the people he's helped in the past. So there might be a war, he might get help from them. He wouldn't have won the war on his own, but with his help, the help of his nakama, he was able to win the war. That's another reason why Luffy won't need another time skip. Another reason why Luffy is going to need a time skip, he's going to need the strength, and by Luffy I mean the entire crew, he's going to need the strength to protect his friends from the threat that looms. Given that he wasn't able to really hurt Big Mom, given that he was being cornered by Katakuri so easily, given that he wouldn't have beaten Doflamingo in many people's opinion, and almost in myself as well, without the help of his allies, given that he wouldn't have beaten Cracker without the help of Nami and the homies, he needs the strength to really protect his crew, right? So there are a lot of things here that's going to influence whether or not there's going to be a time skip, and I think the biggest one is whether or not come the end of the story, Luffy and the Straw Hats are going to be the strongest. I'm going to give you my take on that. I think they are going to be the strongest, and I'll tell you why. There's no way that Zoro is going to become the world's strongest swordsman if he isn't the strongest. And if he's the strongest, Zoro is not going to be stronger than Luffy. We know this because Zoro's mission is to protect his captain's dream at this very point. And to protect his captain's dream, he says that, you know what, I need to be the strongest swordsman in the world. It goes right in line with my ambition, my goal, my dream. And this is what I'm thinking, guys. If they're going to be the strongest come the end of the story, then we have a lot of things to cover. Some of the things that we need to see before the story ends is stuff like Dragon appearing, Monkey D. Dragon. We need him to meet Luffy. We need Luffy to meet up with Shanks. We need to take down the Yonko. We need to get the glyph from Kaido. Yeah, there are a lot of things that need to happen. We need to take down the Marines because Akainu is leading the Marines, and there's no way we're going to get to Akainu without taking down the Marines as well. So there are a lot of things that's going to need to happen. In my personal opinion, I don't know if it's necessary for us to have a time skip. And I'll tell you why. Let's look at the two time continuums. There are two time continuums in play here. One is a One Piece time continuum and one is a time continuum that you and I live in, right? Two times. That's the two times we're working on. In the One Piece world, the One Piece time continuum, in the recent chapter it has been confirmed that it has been 2 years since Luffy started his journey. And that's at age 17 actually, and that took almost 20 years. So that's a two-time continuous getting into play here. Now since they returned from the 2-year time skip, Luffy and his other Straw Hats have been about roughly 6 months of returning. That's my estimate. It's an estimate because given when they returned and how long it took to get to Fishman Island, resolve Fishman Island, leave Fishman Island and reach to, I'm not counting fillers guys, and get to Punk Hazard, finish Punk Hazard and get to Dressrosa, finish Dressrosa and get to Zo. And the time span between Zo and Dressrosa was, something where they said something like 3 weeks or something like that. And then leave Dressrosa and get to Big Mama's, Whole Cake Island, Totland and stuff like that. And even judge himself that he had 66 days of hope. And I'm assuming that 66 days of hope was the 66 days when the Straw Hats came back, new wanted posters released, Big Mom Alliance and stuff like that. I won't talk too much about that, so I hope you guys understand. But essentially in 1 minute what I'm saying is that the time it took for a judge to realize that Sanji was alive with Big Mom because he realized Sanji is alive and he can allow Sanji to marry with Big Mom because Sanji is his failure for son, and get the wanted poster out for Sanji to be only alive, that he is wanted, and Doflamingo to be taken down, get into Dressrosa, leaving Dressrosa and get into Zo, leaving Zo and get into Totland and Whole Cake Island was roughly about 66 days because the wedding took place and stuff like that. So that's really where I'm getting at the whole 66 days of thing that Judge talk about. So it hasn't been really long in the One Piece world that they've come back from 2-year time. So 6 months is what I'm putting at. Could be wrong, could be right, doesn't matter. It's a rough estimate. And in real life, it's been about 5 years, has it been? Dressrosa took 2 years, 2.5 years. Yeah, it's about 5 years. It's about 2012, right? Something like that. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I won't really mind it. So in One Piece terms, it would have been really weird for them to train for 2 years, 5 or 6 months, and go fight for 6 months, and then go back to train again for another, who knows what the hell amount of time they would train for. Now, this is something I should point out. I am a very big fan of the idea that Captain Kidd and Luffy will fight to take down Yonko Big Mom. No, Yonko Kaido. Sorry guys, don't eat my head off. And the reason is that we saw what happened with Luffy and Capone. When they were in Sabaody Archipelago, Capone hated Luffy and he wanted to kill Luffy. Not that he could, but he hated Luffy, and Kidd himself hated Luffy as well. Kidd got his ass kicked by Kaido, so you know, I'm thinking that, and given that Kidd was also trying to take down Shanks, I think it would shift his attention from Shanks to Kaido, given that Kaido is the one that messed him up. He's the kind of guy that would hold a grudge. That's what I get from his character. So, is there gonna be a time skip or not? I still can't say, guys, because as I've told you before, there are many factors really playing on this, and I would like to think yes. Yes, there's going to be a time skip, but it's not really a time skip as much as a training retreat. There's going to be somebody to appear, and that person might be Marco. Somebody needs to appear to teach Luffy something he hasn't learned as yet. Because remember, Rayleigh spent only 18 months with him out of 2 years. 1.5 years out of 2 years. So he wasn't able to teach him everything, just the basics. Rayleigh himself admitted to this. Basics about haki. So there's somebody that needs to appear to say to Luffy that, come on man, with that strength you have, you will never beat Kaido. He got it from Big Mom, but the way that Big Mom said isn't a way that he's going to listen. He needs someone to be on his side, someone that he would listen to, and I'm thinking that person might be Marco. So right here I'm thinking that Marco has more to play than just combat power against Kaido. So I'm thinking that there's going to be a time skip, but it's not a time skip per se, a time skip. There's going to be a training period for the Straw Hats and everyone to really get their power up. Now, there's something I've been thinking about Wano for a while. I'm thinking that Wano's time is really different from the whole One Piece world. Perhaps it's slower, perhaps it's faster. I don't know, but I'm thinking that if it's convenient enough that Wano, or a country very close to Wano, has a time that moves really slow compared to the outside world. So let's say, for example, they spend a year in that country and only a day would have been passed in the entire One Piece world, then that would be a really convenient way of having everyone train and get their strengths up. And I'm telling you guys, if there isn't a training period, then there is something that needs to happen that we have not seen as yet. Someone needs to come about to form an alliance that's gonna be strong enough to take down Kaido. I don't think that Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Kid, Hawkins, Apu is on shit. Apu is gonna get his ass kicked. Hawkins and Killer is gonna be strong enough to take down Kaido. So we're gonna need to have somewhere in the One Piece first from here on to get into Kaido, where they stop, they train, they learn something new. I don't know why Luffy hasn't taught Frankie armament haki. I don't know why he hasn't taught Nami perception haki. I don't know what these guys are doing, guys, but you know what? That's a story. That's my take on things. Let me hear yours. Guys, it's been Manga Reads. Like the video if you did, comment if you have something to say, subscribe for more. I have more good stuff coming your way. Live reactions, theories, reviews, all the good stuff coming. Thank you guys, I appreciate it.